So I found Emma from her YouTube channel and I thought Emma's cool. She's doing loads of really interesting things. She's a member of the National Youth Theatre like I am. She's auditioning loads. She's taking loads of opportunities, really proactive with her career. She's done short films, commercials, little series. So I thought I wanted to interview her, and in a wild coincidence, it turned out that me and Emma were actually booked onto the same course the day after filming this. So I spent the whole weekend with Emma after this, and I just think she's doing so much to further her career and progress herself. And I learned so much from this conversation, and it's inspired me to do so many other things in my life and in my career. So I hope you learn a lot from this. So today I'm joined by Emma, and I was really fascinated by you because, like, not in a creepy way, because like you do such interesting things and you're kind of like done similar things to me, but also like you've done some really cool projects. And I wanted to ask you about that because you've been a member of the National Youth Theatre for like longer than me, I think. I've just been there a year.
Oh yeah, no, I've been part of the National Youth Theatre probably since I was like 21, so probably coming to my fourth year now, which is kind of no, maybe yeah, fourth or third year, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask how you make the most of it because also it's very like London as well, and it feels like
Yeah.
hard.
To be honest, I have mixed feelings, if I can be completely honest, because obviously it's an amazing accomplishment to get in. So like well done for you as well. And there can be some really good opportunities, but I think for me the most I've got out of it is meeting other people because the actual opportunities can be few and far between. And I got quite close to getting through to the rep company one year. Do you know much about the rep company?
Yeah, yeah, it's really hard to get into that.
It's really hard to get into it, but I got like halfway through. There's quite a few stages. I got like halfway, which I was really proud of myself for, but then I was like, like didn't get it. So in terms of physical opportunities, I usually just go to the audition, like the yearly castings, and then I end up meeting loads of people. But some
Yeah.
of my friends for National Youth Theatre, I've like made really good friends from that and like contacts in the industry. And like one of my friends, I think, because I'm working on writing a script for a short film at the minute, and I've got a friend who I'm like, oh, she'll be perfect for that part. I met her through doing an audition
Yeah.
day. So not even on my course, like literally we were on the same audition. We just connected and like got on so well. So any opportunity I see, I usually go for it. The intake course itself, I think just it gives you so much confidence, especially if you haven't trained or been to drama school or anything like that. Like that's one of my favorite 3 weeks like of a drama activity that I've ever done for sure. But in terms of opportunities since, it's a mixed bag. Like some things have been good, some things have been a bit like, okay, it's always the same people that get the same things. Like I wish there was more inclusivity for other members from I don't know. Do you ever notice that? Maybe I'm just reading into it. I just sometimes see the same faces a lot and I'm like, oh, so you kind of do a lot with NYT and not everybody else seems to get their foot in the door as
Yeah,
well.
I
I
think
don't
it's
know.
hard sometimes depending on like where you are. Like you meet all these people from across the country, then like the dynamic changes after your intake course. But I think there
Yeah.
are ways to make the most of it. It's just different for everyone.
Exactly. I think it's figuring out what makes the most sense for you. And also, I guess you're right, like you said about me being close to London. Like I'm where I currently live, it's literally 20-minute train into central London. So it's so easy to get up into town. And yeah, the different opportunities. But I really want to go to more of like they have open mic nights and things like that in London or
Oh,
Bristol or like certain cities. I know they have them. I would love to do something like that, but I've just not gotten around to it yet. That's just on the bucket list.
well, there's still time. And also, what I learned from you, I actually watched your video about you like getting all these auditions from Mandy. So I was like, Emma's on Mandy, I'll join. And I see you get so many auditions from it. So I just wanted to ask how you're finding that.
Yeah, Mandy is my favorite one, I think for sure, because I find like I don't know if you've tried any other of the other ones. There's like Backstage, Star Now, like, and obviously there's Spotlight, but Spotlight's like the main,
Yeah.
like the big one. But and you just got accepted to Spotlight, didn't you, as well? I think I
Yeah,
saw.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's really cool. But yeah, Mandy is so good. It has the perfect jobs for just getting your feet into the industry to begin with. Like all the short films are on there, student projects, adverts. Like I've had modeling jobs for Mandy that have paid like pretty nicely. And like it's just nice to kind of make those contacts in the industry because a lot of people doing jobs like that, like there'll be other actors that I meet going for modeling jobs and things, and you just make these connections and it's really fun. But I had my favorite job from Mandy was for Lad Bible. It was like a social media commercially type thing where I played a mechanic, and it was for the AA, like the car company. And I ended up working with Asim Chowdhury and Alan Mustafa, who are both in People Just Doing Nothing, which was really like funny TV. I don't know if you've ever watched it, but it
No.
was a really funny like comedy on, I think it was ended up on BBC, or was it ITV? I'm not too sure, but they're like famous comedians, and I had to sign an
Yeah.
NDA and everything. I was like, oh my, all for Mandy. And it paid nicely. It was really fun. It was great working on set with like big names. Like you can get that without having any experience. It's just about applying and using Mandy to your advantage, which is, I think, really good. So
That is really good. And I wanted to ask, how did you get Psychopaths Anonymous? Because I watched that yesterday, and then I actually watched it twice because I watched it once, and then I was like to my mom, I was like, "You need to watch this. Like, it's so entertaining."
I'll have to tell Django about that. Yeah, I got that was just knowing people. So
Yeah.
one of my really good friends, Leo, is a director, like trying to be a filmmaker, and he's been doing that forever. He went to Ravensbourne to study filmmaking, and he just saw that his friend, I think I don't even know how good friends they are actually, but was casting for this film, and I was away on holiday. And he just sent it to me, and I read the script, and I thought it was so funny. And I was like, "Oh, I'll just go for it then." I sent him my tape, and Django was like, "Yeah, sweet, that'll be great." And then we hopped on a call with him and Theo, who was the assistant director, producer, also helped. He was also acting in it as well. He was the like Russian guy, the I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
and it was just such a laugh. I went down, and because we shot it in Brighton, and I stayed the night in Brighton, and we only shot it over a weekend, so it was just really good fun, honestly. It was such a laugh, and that was just through connections. It wasn't even from a casting website. It was just because I knew someone who knew they were casting. I think
Yeah.
that's a really important thing is building your network. It doesn't matter if people are not, big names or anything yet, because actually just knowing someone creative who wants to make something means that you could get an opportunity to perform, and like that's what I love doing. So
I
yeah, that
really
was
think
luck.
so. And I think that is such like a unique kind of project because it's so like the plot of it is just the concept of it is so fun.
I feel
I,
like we should explain what
I
happens so
think you
people.
need to because otherwise it's like Psychopaths Anonymous and they're like, what?
So it's basically a mockumentary about serial killers and people who go to a sort of, I guess, equivalent of Alcoholics Anonymous, like AA meeting, but for psychopaths who are trying to stop killing people. And I played a character called Eve who wanted to kind of be a bit of a savior. She was quite self-righteous. She wanted to save the planet. There was a lot of killing. There was a lot of, yeah, weird stuff. But I recommend watching it. I loved being in it. It was so much fun. Like, I've done a variety of things now, and I think I definitely enjoy doing comedies more just because you have so much fun on set. Like, I got lucky as well because we all got on so well. So it was just really nice, kind of just, yeah, really good vibes on set. It kind of reminded me of What We Do in the Shadows. I don't know if you ever saw that.
No.
Oh, okay. That is one of my favorite films, probably. Like, no, okay, maybe that was an exaggeration. It's a really good film. Taika Waititi wrote it. So funny. It's a mockumentary about vampires and how they exist in the modern day, but it's a film and it's very, very similar vibes to Psychopaths Anonymous. So I thought that's when I read the script, I said to the director, "Oh, it reminds me of this." And he was like, "Yeah." So we kind of had the same vision, I guess, of what it was meant to be. But yeah, really,
Yeah.
really fun.
That's really good. And I've seen you've done so much different like fun projects, short films, commercial series. So how have you found the work you've done so far?
Yeah, I've loved everything that I've done so far. Again, like I said, probably the commercial that I did working alongside the like bigger name talent, like that's probably up there with some of my favorite. But then again, I don't know. I love everything I've done, I think is quite varied so far. Like I haven't really kind of stuck in one lane yet. So I'm worried maybe that's a pitfall. Like maybe that's I need to kind of narrow down and do one thing and then maybe people's like get I don't know, to get bigger jobs. But yeah, I've done a real variety of stuff. Like I really enjoy all the kind of commercially modelly side of it just because that's just very easy to earn a bit of money to then help me well, pay the bills so that I can be creative and do my own projects and my own writing and working on short films that maybe aren't paid, but then it's, you're actually doing like if it's like a friend of mine, for example, I'm not going to be like, oh, you have to pay me when I just want to be acting. So I think my first short film will always be really special to me because that was when I'd first decided like, I'm taking this seriously, I'm going to go for it. And it was the same year I got into National Youth Theatre. And then after that, a few months after in the intake course, The reason I got told about it was a student film, and one of the girls who was on my group, it was her friend from her course who was directing it. And yeah, I auditioned and I was up against like 70 people, I think she told me, that auditioned. And it's funny when I look back because it was not, now I'm a bit more professional with how I do things. I've got a proper little pop-up background that I use and like a little ring light. But at the time it was just right, natural lighting in front of like, I think I put a bed sheet over my wardrobe and like just sent off what I thought. I didn't do any of the work that I probably would do now, having learned so much more since then. But it's just, yeah, I was really grateful to get chosen for that, and it was amazing. It was 5 days, and I stayed down. It was in Gloucester, in Cheltenham, and yeah, it was just really, really fun. And that's when I was like, wow, first time being on set and seeing, but obviously they were students, so like they're still figuring things out as well themselves. So it felt like a really nice kind of, not too intimidating. It's not like your first thing, like the sorts of people who just end up in Netflix for their first go, that must be really scary.
Yeah.
It was nice to dip my toes in around people who understood what was going on. And yeah, it was a really lovely film to work on. So that was cool too.
It's interesting to hear people's first experiences on set because everyone's got a different way that they prefer to like make their way in the industry. It's not that much in your control, but like my first experience on set was doing extra work for an ITV show, which was such a big set, but then I feel like that got me used to when it's smaller and there's like more responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, to be fair, I actually forgot about I did do some extra work as well. But I think because that was more like when I was doing drama clubs as hobbies and things. So I don't think my
Yeah.
brain had like switched that to being like, oh, this is a career thing. Like I did some extra work, yeah, for like some feature films. And I also did one that actually did pay quite well because extra work is weirdly good money, I think, for
It can
what you
be. It's
do.
very varied.
Yeah. But obviously most of the stuff, I mean, I don't really care about how much money I'm earning anyway, but this one that I did, we ended up getting put up in a hotel, and it was for a pilot for this TV show they were doing called like, was it like the Masked Dancer or something like that? And they were all it
Yeah.
was like a dating show, but they had like these masks and they needed extras to be dressed like in Renaissance outfits. So we had these amazing gowns, and like we were just basically, and I was really lucky, me and my friend, they put us on like a little chaise longue sofa thing. So we got to sit down with like fans, just pretending to be like the audience. Like, oh, it felt very Bridgerton. I think I made a joke on my Instagram, like I'm in the new season of Bridgerton or something like that. But it was, yeah, that was really fun. But yeah, that can be nice to see what set is like on a bigger scale. But I think it's nice to kind of, when you have your first experience kind of where you're a bit more important, feels really, I think
Yeah.
that's the other thing, because I think this short film was the first time I'd starred in something, and I haven't really starred in like, I don't think I've really starred in anything else since, like where it's been me the main character. So that was also, I think, really special to me, and like in my heart being like a main character. But sets are just cool. It's just cool being on set, no matter what part of set you're on. I think even being behind the scenes when you just kind of like seeing what's going on is awesome. So it is, yeah, I love the movie magic, knowing that, because you know where all the people are, you know where the cameraman is, you know where the
Yeah.
microphone is, whatever. And then you watch it and you think, no one will ever know. Like, how will they know? It's quite cool.
Yeah, it's quite fun. And I wanted to ask you about your perspective on what work you want to take and balancing that with your other work, because I know some people are like, oh, I don't want to do like certain types of commercials because that might limit other work. So like, how do you approach all of that?
I think for me, I usually base it off kind of like time, like what dates things are doing. So like I have auditioned for some plays. I actually got close to getting a part in a play recently, which did look like really good. And the reason I went for it was because it was quite a short run. But I think for me, like I love theatre. That's where I came from. I've always loved theatre. Um, but what I love about going for like TV or film is that it is just going to be like a project you block out a bit of time for, and then you're on to the next thing. And I think sometimes I get put off by certain theatre jobs that come up, like on Mandy, for example. If it's like, oh, this is going to be a run from August to December, I'm like, but that limits me. If something amazing comes up, I can't commit. So that's kind of something I think about. But in terms of type of work, I've done some random stuff. It really depends. I think I'm more fussy when I've got more money, in the sense of like if I've earned enough money and I don't need to
Yeah.
like stress about earning more, then I'm like, okay, I won't do that, because actually that's not really the type of you know, I don't really see myself playing that character or whatever. But then sometimes I'm like, oh, well, I need to pay the bills. Like, especially when I was living in London, London is so expensive. I was just like, oh, I don't care what I do. Like, I think I did this job that it wasn't really acting. It was more like, it was on camera, and basically it was about it was about educating people about contraception. And they would give us like a box, like I don't know if you ever used to watch like BuzzFeed videos or anything, but they give you a box and you have to open the box and like guess what the thing is and talk about it. And I did that, and then I watched it back and I was like, they only kept all the like stupid and weird things that I'd said in it, like just to be funny. And then I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that's so embarrassing. Like just me saying like really weird stuff about like just jokey things, like not awful. But so yeah, I did that, and I don't know if I would do something like that again, but also I know it's an important thing to educate people on. But at the same time, I'm like, do I want to be known as someone that does stuff about contraception? Probably not. So it's kind of, now I probably would be more fussy, but I think, I don't know, I've been through different phases with it.
I think that's the thing about when you're yourself on something. Like, I've done stuff that wasn't paid, but like I was on BBC Bite Size back in the day,
Yeah.
sharing my GCSE results day experience, and
Oh,
all they kept of my opening my results is when one result I said, "This is a lot more than I was expecting," and I'm like, I look so bad, so I'm kind of like freaked out to be myself on camera for
yeah.
anything.
It is hard. I think you just have to, that is so it, isn't it? Because you know that like the way people edit stuff, it can make you look different to what you want to be
Yeah.
perceived as. And that is something I think as an actor, you just have to kind of come to terms with. But then, yeah, you can just pick not to do the jobs where it is you. Like, I think I definitely would, yeah, I think those are the kind of jobs that I'd probably hesitate on more now. Like if it's acting and it's not me and I can just play a character, then like fine, I can probably do most things. But like, yeah, when it comes down to what if it's like you're doing something just so you can earn a bit of money and do something fun on camera, then yeah, maybe be a bit more choosy.
Yeah, and what is the difference that being in and outside of London has made? Because I know you've lived both.
Oh, honestly, it's like, I don't know. I think there's pros and cons about both. The thing I loved about being in London was how easy it was to access classes. Like, loved going to acting classes. I went to the Working Actors Studio for a little bit, and I have since done a course with them since I've moved out of London as well. And it does like it is just too far for me to think about going every like Wednesday evening. Do you know what I mean? Like an
Yeah.
hour away. It's just a bit of a faff, and then you have to run for the last train. So like being in London for stuff like that when you've got such good public transport was like that made such a difference. But the living cost was quite stressful, but then in some ways that kept me really focused and pushing forward, constantly trying to book more jobs. Whereas I've now moved back home, like I'm living with my parents kind of like in the gap. And obviously the pressure to like earn loads of money and like get, you know, that kind of goes down a bit. And we had a lot of other stuff going on as well. So I had a bit of a kind of not a break, not a purposeful break, but it ended up being a bit of a break just because of like personal things happening. But then I'm kind of just I'm not willing to sacrifice my happiness to live in London, so I will make it work out of London, if that makes sense. Like I was on a casting call chat, no, not casting call, sorry. It was a like a free Q&A with a casting director. Someone asked in the Q&A, like, do you need to live in London to be an actor? And she was like, to be honest, no. Because like most of your self-tapes and things like that are online. If you do need to do an audition in person, you can just be planned and make sure you get the train. And most of us, like most people are lucky to have some sort of connection, whether it's a friend or a family member, stay the night if you need to. I just don't think, because realistically, you're not going to an in-person audition every day. You're not going to acting class every day unless you're kind of in a drama school or doing like something specific, like a week-long course or whatever. So other than that, it's a personal opinion. Like for me, I don't really like the London life. I find it too intense. I'm a country bumpkin at heart. Like I love being in the countryside. I love being outdoors. I love being by the sea. I love, you know, I'm not so being in the city, I only lasted 6 months. Like we all joke about it with me and my friends because like so many of them live in London and I'm like, I don't know how you guys do it. I can't. So I think it's a case of, yeah, what you personally like. But there's, yeah, as I said, benefits to living in London, benefits to living out of London. Because then I could save more money by not being in London to get nice new headshots or book an acting class or whatever. So I'm kind of just making it work now. Because I just don't want to go back to London. So
I
Yeah.
think that's so interesting though, because like there are so many opportunities in London. So there are a reason why like when you go to National Youth Theatre, the majority of the people on your course are from London.
Yeah,
That's where it's easier to like gain the skills to be an actor, but
absolutely.
you can still be an actor anywhere.
I think that's an important thing because I think people, yeah, get tired. I definitely bought into the idea. I mean, I made a whole YouTube video called I Moved to London to be
Yeah.
an actor. Do you know what I mean? Like, I thought, it's like in America, people think if they move to LA that they're just going to make it. And it's like, yeah, okay, you might be able to like be in the presence of these people and stuff, but actually it can really depend where you live, the sorts of people you're around, and actually it just comes down to your networking. So making sure you go to opportunities. And I don't think that means you have to live in London. I think it can help. For example, yeah, living further and further out can get more challenging, I think, probably. But every big town or city in the UK has a direct train to London pretty much. So everyone can always get to London if they need to. I think the thing is that you don't always need to. But yeah, I agree. There's loads of opportunities in London, and I think people just there's always lots of London-based people who seem to get those opportunities and things like that. So I don't know, but I think we just have to kind of stay in our own lane, focus on our own journey, and figure out how we're going to make it without doing things we don't necessarily want to do. Like some people might love it. Like
Yeah.
I'm not judging. If you love London, like good for you. I wish I did, but I just don't. So I'm just trying to do it, try and make it work while keeping myself happy. So yeah.
That's good. That's the most important thing because I think once you're happy, you're going to make the best work.
Exactly. Like there's a course that the guy who Lee Lomas runs the Working Actors Studio, which is where I did a lot of classes at, and he started running like like mindfulness with acting, like a 2-day course over a weekend, which I really want to book onto. Just focusing on literally just finding like you, like your authentic self and like how you can show up best when it comes to doing performances and like especially harder performances that are more challenging where you might, things that might be a bit more traumatic because obviously as actors, like, yeah, we talk about the fun stuff and like messing around, having fun on set, but like some characters you play are like, or some stories you're telling, because at the end of the day, like I think, well, for me, storytelling is so important and that's what got me into acting anyway from since being a kid. Like I just think it's important, but he just believes that you have to have like a really, really good grasp on yourself, good mental health, like just be doing the best for yourself outside of acting because then when you are doing your acting, you'll be bringing that same energy. Whereas if you're like a mess and like not feeling good or like just in a bad way, not looking after yourself, like how can you expect to produce your best work? You want to be at the top of your game in every aspect of your life. I think for any career, not just acting, literally everything. I think that's important. So
So I wanted to ask you as well about your agent process and experience because I know you want to break into TV and film and like do more bigger projects. And I know you had an agent and then you left that agent. And I know they say it's like better to have no agent than a bad agent. So where are you at with that?
So yes, I did have an agent and she was lovely. I don't want to like be mean
Yeah.
or anything. She was really nice. And the reason I ended up having her was because she'd reached out to me a couple times on Mandy. And she believed in me. And I thought, okay, like it's not often you'll get somebody who actually believes in you and puts, wants to fight your corner. And so I was like, do you know what? I'll go with it. I think I was with her for just under a year. And all the jobs I was booking, I was just finding myself on Mandy. And I kind of thought, you know what? Like, it's all well and good that she can put me forward for stuff on Spotlight, and that's great that I have a Spotlight now, and I wouldn't have been able to have that without her because you have to like before they've only recently changed the
Yeah.
requirements for getting onto Spotlight, and like without that, like I was like, well, I haven't been to drama school and I've had no acting work, so I'm really grateful to her for that because it meant I actually got to be on Spotlight, which made me look better. So I think having her made me look better to other
Yeah.
people who I was then applying to jobs for. But she herself, I don't think she was quite early on in her journey, and I know she's booked some really like one of her clients I think booked a very small role in Renegade Now the other day. So it's like it's not like she wasn't able to get work, but she just wasn't getting anything for me. And I was like, well, I need to just take a minute away from this because I'd already signed, like I'd made sure to sign an exclusivity clause as well because I didn't feel like it was necessarily fair to be giving up 20% of the money I was earning on very small, like they weren't like massively paid jobs anyway. So we kind of had a separate thing going and I realized this just isn't the right fit for right now. So we parted ways and then I yeah, as I said, there's been a bit of a so then I was doing loads of stuff for myself and continuing getting jobs through Mandy and stuff. And I was like, oh, cool. Do I even need an agent? Like kind of was experimenting with that kind of angle of just being self-represented. but I think I've now reached a point where I'm kind of hitting the same levels of things and I want to level up.
Yeah.
So I am now on the hunt for a new agent. I just had headshots done last week, no, like maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting for them to be sent back and I'm going to hit the emails. I've got a huge list. I can probably send you, I think I got sent it. It's like this whole like not gatekeeping thing. So there's loads of agents. I could send it to you if it's helpful to put in the description. I don't know, like if people want access to like a database for agents you can get in touch with, basically. So once I get my new headshots back, we are hitting the ground running, and I know what I am and I'm not looking for now in having an agent. And I definitely want an agent with like just like slightly more connections. Like I'm not trying to jump in the deep end. I'm not trying to be like, look, I'm a star, although as much as I like to think it in my head,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be above my league. I just want to get my foot in the door. So I'm just hoping to find somebody who's willing to give me a shot, and we'll see.
Sorry, I've got more questions now about that. How are you writing your emails? Because I feel like everyone's got a different technique.
What for what kind of what to get an
Agent.
agent? I had a different I had like a what's it like a template that I'd kind of taken from notes from different people, like kind of explaining, my name, what I've like, what my background is. And I think for this time round, I want to kind of try with something much more peeled back, much more aimed at that specific agent, like why I like them and then what I can offer, is in like why I'd be good, and like kind of keep it, and I think I want to kind of test out doing like a, would you like to arrange to meet for a coffee, or could I have a phone call? I'd love to chat about advice, or like kind of try and do something like that instead, because I think they probably get so many representation requests and blah 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 like all the time. It might be nice to kind of just figure out a way to like stand out a bit from the crowd. So that's kind of my goal, but I haven't got, obviously the emails that I've kind of been doing have only got me so far. But then for stuff like casting jobs, my emails seem to be all right, and I usually literally just say like, my name's Emma and I'd love to be considered for this role because and then say some reasons why I like it, to show that I've read the description and I've read what they've given us and stuff like that. And then I say a few things like, I'm available on the dates, I've got a car, so that like helps if I need to drive something, I kind of just say little bullet points and keep it as short as possible because they don't want to be scrolling all day. But then like in that casting director call Q&A thing, she said to just introduce yourself, like, oh, I just got new headshots done, like it would be great if you could consider me in the future for future projects, stuff like that, just a hello or things like that. So I'm going to try and do that type of stuff and see if it works differently. But that's kind of where I'm at with that. I don't know if that, I'm not, I don't think I've got anything set as in what works
Yeah.
100%. I'm constantly trying new things. So yeah.
I think so. I think it's the ones that you have the most personal connection with as well. Because I had done workshops with one of someone else's clients, and I said I really loved this workshop. It really helped me do this, 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 and this. And then that's the person who then gave me all the reasons, like, thank you for getting in touch. Like, yeah, my client's great. Here's why we can't represent you right now. And I think that's helpful to
Actually
build.
got a personal response
Yeah.
is like very unheard of, to actually get an email back that's actually, most of the time you just don't get a reply. And even if you do get a reply, sometimes it's just a like a copy and paste. So that's really good. That's obviously a good technique. I'm definitely going to try that.
I think I tried that, and also I don't know if it works, but I'm trying to be like, here with like casting emails. I try to be like, here's a project that I've done before that's like similar, that's like proven that I could do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's yeah, stuff like that is really good. Like just anything where you can show off like, this is why I'd be the best for it, but in a most concise way as possible. For sure.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of mistakes people make when they're like, I'd love to do this. Like, I'm an aspiring actor, but it's like
Yeah.
what you can offer.
Yeah, exactly. It needs to be more about the job and how you're going to do the work, not, I really want it. It's my dream.
Yeah.
Like it's everyone's dream. Why else would we put ourselves through such a like heartbreaking career path if it wasn't our dream? So, yeah, you're right.
And I know you're writing a short film, so I wanted to ask how you've developed your craft of writing a short film, because I think lots of people would like to make their own work, but like I write stuff and I'm like, what is this?
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, I think it's just doing it. Like I'm one of those people that's like, I wish I could do that. Oh, I can? Like just do
Yeah,
it. Like, I didn't have a craft. The script is not probably like, Well, I've read a lot of scripts now in terms of screenplays because I've done a lot of jobs, I've done a lot of auditions, like I know how script kind of looks. So I just wrote it in that kind of way, but I also really enjoy writing anyway, so it kind of all just came together. And I wasn't really sure, and then I sent it to a few like actory friends and they were like, "No, like it's actually good." And I was like, "Okay," because I was worried like it can be quite scary putting yourself out there, and I've never written a short film before, but I've always loved making videos ever since I was like really little. Like there's videos of me like making little films and stuff when I was like 5, like literally have always loved it. So I just wanted to give it a go. So my bigger issue now is just getting it moving and getting a crew together and getting auditions out and things like that for the characters. Obviously, I'm gonna play the main part because I wrote it.
Yeah.
And I have got a meeting on Friday next week with a friend of mine who has put herself forward to like be a co-director and help me produce it and kind of get it up and running so I can actually put casting calls out and stuff. So that is really exciting. I'm hoping to shoot that this summer, but that'll be my first time actually creating a full like thing with a bit of a team. And it's about ADHD, which I think will be hopefully really interesting or inspiring to other people who I don't know. Well, it's because I've got ADHD and I only found out when I was 19. So it's meant to be like just kind of that story and coming to terms with it and how I've kind of dealt with it, but through this character's world. And it's got some weird scenes. It's going to be a bit all over. It's got everything, a bit of everything. So I'm really genuinely so excited for it. I think it has good potential. Like I think it will be cool, but I just need to do it. But yeah, the writing, I think it's literally just pick up your laptop, pick up your notebook, just start. And if it doesn't seem right, ask for some advice and someone can guide you. And, just, I think people's work is probably better than what they give themselves credit for. So I'm
Yeah.
sure what you've written is probably better than what you think it is, for sure.
I think so. I think you learn so much anyway through actually doing something, and I think you're going to learn so much through the process of making a whole short film, and that's really
Yeah.
good. Because lots of people say they'll do it and they don't actually do
And they
it.
don't do it. Exactly. I've been saying I was going to do it since like a couple years ago now. I started the script. So it's like, come on, we need to get on that now. So yeah, I want to be one of the people that actually does do it. So
Yes, that's so exciting. Good luck with it.
thank you.
And do you have any final advice you want to share, and also anything you want to promote?
Final advice I want to share, definitely if acting is something you want to do, just start doing it. I think people are so scared of following their dreams. And even if it's not acting or whatever, any sort of creative passion, I think give it a go and pursue it and you'll just I don't know. I think following your dreams makes you happier than you realize. And actually, the work you do as you go along, like if I look back now to before I'd had done anything, I'm like, I've actually achieved a lot. But if you focus in the moment, you don't really realize. Or if you're only looking in the future, you don't really realize. So I feel like, yeah, being grounded, being aware that you're on a journey and following your dreams is what you want to do will help you get there. So definitely that's probably my number one bit of advice. And anything I want to promote, probably just my YouTube channel, I guess. I don't know if you want to check out my channel. I make acting related videos as well and kind of written pieces, vlogs of what I'm kind of doing with my acting career and stuff like that. So if people want to check it out, obviously they can. But other than that, I don't think I've got anything major to promote just yet. But my short
Apart from
film
the short film.
short film when it comes out. And also, I guess when the casting calls come out, I'll probably post that on Instagram. So if people want to get involved or anything like that, then I'll definitely be putting that out there and seeing what will come of it. So that's something to keep eyes on. But yeah.
Fine, I think they should all follow you because I think you're just going to do such exciting things.
Oh, I
And
hope so. You're really sweet for saying that. I hope you're right.
I'm sure I am. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me.
Thank you for having me and sorry for rambling so much.
So I've really loved having this conversation. So thank you so much again to Emma for taking the time to do this, because I genuinely find the people that I meet along my acting journey so inspiring. Like, so many people are out there doing really cool things, and I think we can learn a lot from the people around us. Make sure you go check out Emma's channel because she's doing such exciting things. Thank you so much to everyone for watching, and I have some really exciting interviews coming up, so stay tuned. Thank you. Bye.